lighten our heart just a little bit. It says, during a wedding rehearsal, the groom approaches the pastor with an unusual offer. The pastor said, he said to the pastor, I'll give you $100 if you change the wedding vows. When you get to the part where I'm supposed to promise to love, honor, and obey, and to be faithful forever, I'd appreciate if you left that out. So he passed $100 to the pastor and walked away satisfied. The day of the wedding, when it came for the groom's vows, the minister said, do you promise to stand before her, obey her every command? Do you promise to serve her breakfast every morning? And do you promise eternally before God and all of us today that you will never look at another? With hesitation and bewilderment, he swallowed hard and said, yes. He then leaned over to the pastor and said, I thought we had an understanding. The pastor put the $100 back in his hand and said, your wife made me a better offer. And then I got a cute short one for you. A yogi who entered into a Zen pizza parlor and said, make me one with everything. When the yogi received the pizza and the bill, he handed the cashier a $20 bill. The cashier put it in the register and closed the door. And the yogi said, don't I get my change? And the cashier said, change must come from within. And that's the truth. Is that our change, to be born again, is about change within us, starting now, not waiting on this, that, or the other. We have the power, the infinite possibilities to make the change that we want to see in ourselves, in our family, and in our world right now. God's will for every son and daughter is peace and joy. God's will for all of his creation is self-expression. God's will towards life is more life. Born to emerge from the divine feminine, to enter into the physical realm, earth, awakened to another part of living. And then again is once more returning to a previous position, situation, afresh, anew. So to be born is not, in this case, a physical birth, it's a spiritual one. And the Spirit is the power that changes everything. Born again is referring to a change of heart, from indifference, impatience, and hostility to more love and understanding. Born again is an intentional expansion in consciousness, allowing divine wisdom and creative ideals to reside. Last month our theme was a harvest of gratefulness. And last Sunday, Reverend Gerald said a lot of great things, but one thing that really stood out to me, and I wrote it 3 times, that our willingness to allow Christ consciousness to replace race consciousness. And that's simply allowing mental influence to dictate how you live your life and the decisions that you make and what you carry in your heart. Ernest Holmes says in chapter 22, Finding the Christ, is about locating your place in the spiritual family's portrait. I kind of paraphrase that. Because all of us belong here on this earth, and we are to take a picture all together under our Creator, God. But so often, we look at each other with distaste, disdain, and we talk about each other. But we're supposed to stand together. That's how we make our lives better. That's how we make this world better. That's how we make our churches, centers, temples, and synagogues better, is when we come together and we lift up the truth together. Together we can lift it up higher. Christ means the universal idea of the son and the daughter, the image of God created in each. Now what we do with that prestigious image is up to each of us. Christ is feeling good, feeling God so completely that people, things, circumstances can't change that feeling of completeness. Just because people and things present themselves doesn't mean we have to invest in them or in it. When there seems to be something going low, or when they go low, Michelle Obama reminded us we go high.
Yes.
And high means to dig down deep within your soul, where the Spirit of God resides. And I often tell you it's not that easy, but it's worth doing. Your life, your peace of mind is worth fighting for. It's worth dropping down deeper to bring yourself and your life up higher. A writer says the first thing to do is to understand our human conditions. We have to face them head on. Consciousness. It starts, as the math teacher says, in our hearts. Scripture says sin sometimes. Our textbook says error, missing the mark, a mistake. But that's when we turn to the superconsciousness. See, there's our subconscious that holds all of our experiences. And then there's our conscious mind that knows what's going on right now. But then there's the super consciousness that can bring you up higher than you ever thought possible. This is the day, this is the time. If not now, when? If you don't have a change of heart and a change of mind, when are you going to do it? When the right person comes along? Well, if you're not the right person for yourself, the right one can't find you.
That's right.
To be born again is to release that part that hurts. That part where life's living was not ideal. That part where you were told you did not measure up. When they say, I got to let you go, whether it's a person or a job, and so on and so on. The list can go on and on about the things that have happened to us. But if we're not open to spiritual rebirth or willing to recreate our thinking, our lives, nothing can be moved. We want people to pay for their mistakes, wrongdoings, and we need to make it big, justify our own errors. But guess who's paying the cost of that hurt, that anger, regret, disappointment, failures? We are the one that holds all of that stuff from behind. When you enter into here, you empty it out. Let go and let God. I know it's not easy, but you can do it. You've done it. That's why you're still here on the earth. Because you've emptied some of those things. But we also carry a lot. And we need to not enter 2020 with the same stuff from 2019 and on down from since you were born. We need to let that stuff go and move it to something greater. You have the opportunity. I know about heartache. I know about disappointment. I can look at my mom, a 14-year-old alcoholic. I can look at my dad, who when he came to see me at 11, I didn't even know who he was. And he lived right down the block. But see, that's my stuff. I can tell you a story just as you can tell me one. But that's our stuff that we are equipped to work on and empty out. If you have a bucket full of water and you took a cup and just emptied it, one by one, eventually, it will be empty. And you can pour some fresh water in. So all of those hurt feelings, all of that stuff, one by one, prayer by prayer, affirmation by affirmation, empty it out. Make room for some new stuff. Make room for new friendships. Make room for new people in your life if the old ones didn't work. Bless them and send them on their way. Tell them to kick rocks. Amen? I got to deal with my stuff. We got to deal with our stuff. We can't just let it sit there because it rots and it contaminates us. It contaminates our thinking. It contaminates the heart where God's love should reside. But we got to be willing to get it together. We got to be willing to face our stuff and then let it go.
Yes.
Quit hiding it down deep, thinking somebody is going to clean it up for you. God created us individually to clean up our own house. And our consciousness is that house. If I don't get rid of my stuff, then I'll give birth to a stillborn. No life, nothing I can use, but the knowledge and the understanding that this is what's going to happen every feelings of those thoughts, which eventually I will give birth to. Everything we see in our lives, we've participated on some level. So the first person that you look at is self. And I know it's hard, because a lot of us don't even like to look in the mirror. We get dressed and put our makeup on in the dark. But we must look in the mirror and see ourselves and know that we are children of the Most High God. When we look in the mirror, we should see a divine son, a divine daughter, and then go about our journey, our spiritual journey. Richard Lou reminds us this teaching is an orderly collection of knowledge of God mind. It does not change universal principles. It teaches us, if we are willing to learn, the omniscience, which is all-knowing, the omnipresent. God is everywhere with you right this moment. God is omnipotent, all power, all the power that you need to change your circumstance, you have it right there. We can't see for looking. This insists on how we may better understand that through principle and application, we can enrich our lives, feel the peace and the oneness of God within us. This teaching does not negate the evidence and experience of sickness, lack, suffering, loss, or feeling of failure, or any other appearing condition. What this teaching does is assist in removing the blockages, the barriers, old beliefs, and replacing them with the Creator. Reverend Gerald also reminded us that all of our stuff, and I'm saying stuff, in the house of God, use it as fertilizer to nurture something new. Wow. Amen? Amen. The Creator is available for our rebirth, to be born again. If we are awakened, we realize whatever we do is for us and God. We keep thinking it's for others. That's why we expect something from them. A thank you, a phone call, an apology, or forgive me, a return gift, or a card. Or you want them to say I was wrong, and wait for this, and you were right. Etc., etc. But the real deal, being born again, is to rise above, set our pride aside, start anew. Know that as we move through an experience, never allow yourself to be disconnected from your source. It is your lifeline, your medicine, your supply, your counselor, your answer, your creative idea, the success of our ministry, your business, and invention. When we embrace the spiritual power, we can then let go of the other, the unwanted, sickness, loneliness, failure, loss, and pain. For it does not originate in God. It is our misuse of the law, the power, choice, and dominion God bestowed upon us through our thinking, through our expectation. We give birth to our experiences. Just because some of our past has brought us sadness, unhappiness, and our challenges we face, let us realize now, when God created us, God placed a potential within us to become joint heir. And since God does not force himself on us, we must say yes to the power, to the potential. Potential lies within you. All it takes is one thought. Somebody thought of that chair. Somebody thought of this podium. Somebody thought of everything that we're wearing with a thought and an idea and an expectation. And then it comes. So your idea, your consciousness, when believed in, the law will take it further than you can ever imagine. Make use of the potential of divine wisdom, abundance, joy, prosperity, and success in all areas of life. You think you've been left out? That's what we get for thinking. To be led by our Creator, to climb up, to go around, to go under. Reverend Amon reminded us in the Serenity Workshop. He broke it down. He said, Lord, don't move my mountain, but give me the strength to climb.
Yes.
And we want our blockages and mountains to be removed. But what he reminded us is that if it's moved prematurely, you won't get the lesson or the understanding that was for you to get. So Lord, don't move my mountain. Just give me the strength to climb, to go around, to go under. That's teaching yourself self-mastery. I read this little cute story. It spoke of a couple observing a woman in the grocery store with a 3-year-old little girl in the basket. And as they passed by the cookie aisle, the baby asked for this kind, this kind, this kind of cookie. And her mother said, thank you, but no thank you. The baby began to whine and fuss. The mother said quietly, now Ellen, we just have 6 more aisles left. Don't be upset. It won't be long. Then they passed the candy aisle. The baby once again asked for candy. Once again, the baby began to fuss and cry. The mother very calmly and quietly said, there, Ellen. Only 2 more aisles left. Don't be upset. It won't be long. When they arrived at the checkout stand, of course, you know they have all the goodies by the register. So again, the baby began to have a temper tantrum. The mother says patiently, Ellen, we'll be through the checkout aisle in a few minutes. Then you can go home and have a nice nap. The couple who had been admiring how the mother handled everything tapped her on the shoulders to compliment her and said, we could not help noticing how patient you were with little Ellen. The mother smiled and said, my daughter's name is Tammy. I'm Ellen. And that's what we got to do to ourselves. Is talk ourselves off the ledge before we go over. Just because somebody said something or did something or it's not going in our favor. When you can be still and tap into your higher power, God will shift it in your favor. But when we jump off the ledge, we bump our heads and the consciousness is confused. Ellen's self-taught, determined to overlook the drama, committed and dedicated to self-mastery, not allowing outside conditions to deplete her calmness, her collectiveness, and her cool. Most of all, her peace of mind. We are rooted in the infinite. We live because God lives in us. We grow through it. We live through it. So we thank God for it. Paraphrasing this song. I wish I could sing, my throat is a little dry. But Reverend Jones says, I have some good days and I've had some bad days. I've had some hills to climb. I've had some weary days and some sleepless nights. But when I look around and I think things over, that's having a reborn consciousness. I realize that all of my good days outweigh my bad days. For the Lord has been so good to me, more than this old world could ever see. Meaning my stories that I can tell, that I've been lied on, I've been talked about, I've been misunderstood, I've been overlooked, but I won't complain. I won't regret. I won't lose sight of the image and likeness I was created out of. For I am born again. I am awakened to my inner potential. I've located my divine identity. New life is within my soul. Let's look up with that truth now. For that will assist in the next step, in the next experience. What are we expecting? For the mind is the causative agency that gets things done, redone, and finally done. Born again, believing more than, trusting more than, having more faith than when you arrived here. To be born again is to relinquish your heart from heaviness and hurt. To be born again is to relinquish your subconscious from all the stuff that no longer serves you. To be born again is to allow your Christ nature. It's already innate in you. All you have to do is nurture it. All you have to do is talk to it. All you got to do is get more acquainted with it than you do with anything outside of yourself. So to be born again is to love yourself as God loves you. Peace and blessings.
Amen.